For decades, we've been building AI based on what we thought was a blueprint of the human brain. But what if we only copied half the plan? We're going to dive into a massive mistake we've been making in AI and how our own brains are, funny enough, showing us the way out.
Okay, so think about how most AI works right now, deep learning. To get from point A to point B, from a question to an answer, it has to grind through information step by step by step through tons of complex layers. It's like a signal being forced to climb a gigantic energy-sucking staircase one tread at a time.
And this is the big question. While our AI is huffing and puffing its way up the stairs, what if our brain has a secret weapon? A direct, super-fast elevator that just bypasses all those floors and goes straight to the answer.
Right, so let's get into it. Why is this staircase model a problem? Well, it's powerful for sure, but it's got a deep fundamental flaw we're only now starting to understand.
The whole idea for deep learning really came from one place, the neocortex. That wrinkly outer layer of our brain that handles all the big brain stuff like language and complex decisions. Scientists saw its layers and thought, bingo, that's the secret to intelligence. And you know what? They weren't totally wrong.
But here's the twist. We got obsessed with those deep, neat layers. AI models just kept adding more and more. And in doing so, we totally ignored the brain's other system, these ancient, lightning-fast connections that run underneath the cortex.
And this quote, this is mind-blowing. It's from this wild experiment where neuroscientists tried to understand a simple computer chip using their brain scanning tools. And guess what? They couldn't do it. Their methods totally failed to grasp the chip's basic logic. It's a huge clue that maybe, just maybe, the way we've been looking at the brain has given us a very biased, incomplete picture.
So what's the result of all this? We've built AI that is incredibly smart, but it's also ridiculously inflexible and inefficient. It uses the same heavy-duty, energy-guzzling process to decide if a picture is a cat as it does to compose a symphony. It's computational overkill.
Which brings us to this really cool, revolutionary idea that just flips the whole thing on its head. It's called the shallow brain hypothesis. And this is where we start getting the full picture of intelligence.
So why did we miss these shortcuts for so long? Well, there's actually a name for it, cortical chauvinism. It's this deep-seated bias in science that the cortex is the star of the show, and everything else is just, the primitive backup band.
I love this quote from neuroscientist Jean Aroux because it just nails it. We've been acting like King Cortex just magically appeared one day, fully formed. We totally forgot that it evolved on top of and is deeply tangled up with much older, much faster systems.
And this isn't just a hunch, it's written right there in our anatomy. The wiring diagram of the brain shows that every single part of the cortex has direct lines shooting down to these older subcortical structures. It's a two-way street. In fact, from the subcortex's point of view, the entire complex cortex doesn't look like a ladder at all. It looks like one giant flat input screen it can pull from instantly.
So the main thing to get here is that these elevator shortcuts aren't just some neat little trick the brain has. No, they are a fundamental, core part of how the brain computes everything. It's part of the operating system.
All right, so how do these two systems, the slow, plodding staircase and the speedy elevator, actually work together in practice?
It's basically a perfect division of labor. The cortex, our staircase, is for the deep, slow, deliberate stuff. Recognizing a complex face in a crowd or planning your next move in chess. But the subcortical pathways, our elevator, that's for the shallow, fast, get-it-done-now reflexes that keep you alive.
And this isn't just talk. Researchers recently put this whole idea to the test. They built a brand new kind of computer model that for the very first time had both the deep cortical staircase and the shallow subcortical elevator built into it. And the results were just incredible. When the model was given a simple, easy task, boom, the fast, shallow pathway took over and made the call instantly. But when the task got tricky and needed more thought, the system automatically switched gears and fired up the deep, complex staircase to figure it out. This is the perfect way to think about it. The shallow route is your gut reaction, that instinct to pull your hand from a hot stove before you even consciously feel the pain. The deep route is you carefully scanning a crowd, trying to find your friend. Your brain uses both, all the time, without you even noticing.
Okay, this is where it gets really exciting. What does all this mean for the future of AI, for the tech we're actually building today?
So we have to ask the big question.
By focusing only on the cortex, have we been building our AI with a huge critical piece just missing?
And the answer seems to be a resounding yes. We're basically building these super powerful calculators that waste colossal amounts of energy and time because they don't have the simple, elegant reflex circuits that nature perfected hundreds of millions of years ago.
Just look at this breakdown. An AI built with this shallow brain idea would be way more efficient, right? It would use the right tool for the right job. It would be more flexible, balancing quick gut reactions with deep, careful thought. And honestly, it would just be a much more accurate model of how real intelligence actually works.
So the ultimate goal here is to create a totally new kind of AI. One that doesn't just think, but also reacts. An AI that can finally balance that raw instinct with deep intellect. Pretty much exactly like we do.
So, when you think about it, the next great leap in AI might not come from adding more and more layers, from building an even taller, more complex staircase. The real breakthrough might just be remembering to finally install the elevator that was in the original blueprints the whole time. If you want to see how the physics of heat and energy are shaping this new view of the brain and the future of AI, you should check out the full deep dive on the Nature and Science Substack. We've put the link in the comments for you.